The meal line extended through the base grounds, combat boots scraping against the heat-hardened earth of Camp Hawthorne. The scorching temperature shortened patience and made humor more cutting than normal. Private First Class Emily Parker waited in formation with the rest. Her sleeves turned up just past her wrists. That's all it required. The butterfly design inked on her lower arm drew notice from an infantry group standing behind her. One grinned, speaking clearly enough for his companions to catch. What's her plan? Wave her wings at hostiles? Chuckling erupted, a wave of entertainment targeting her. Emily remained still. She didn't glance back. She simply maintained forward focus, meal tray firm in her grasp, quiet her soul shield. They believed they understood her identity. They were mistaken. Before we continue, ensure you follow Warzone to always catch these authentic accounts of bravery, and share in the feedback section what location are you viewing from right now. Private First Class Emily Parker had reached 28 years, stationed with the Logistics Division at Camp Hawthorne. Her reality wasn't gunfights or covert operations. It consisted of administrative boards, inventory lists, and continuous piles of equipment documentation. While comrades prepared for warfare, she ensured they possessed the supplies to endure it. Each dawn she showed up ahead of schedule, footwear buffed to a reflective gloss. Her sleeping area was immaculate, records impeccable. She never elevated her tone, never voiced grievances, never took shortcuts. When a delivery went missing, Emily located it. When documentation ran behind, Emily had already completed it the previous evening. Yet in the perspective of most combat troops, none of this held weight. For them, she wasn't a combatant, wasn't authentic military. She was merely another logistics clerk, somebody they couldn't envision in operations, somebody whose reserved manner could be dismissed without consideration. The difference was striking. The men who ridiculed her were boisterous, bold, certain that value was determined by rough hands and deployment insignias. Emily represented the reverse, quiet-voiced, reliable, modest. She didn't boast of previous achievements. She didn't resist when mockery came her direction. She merely tolerated it. And additionally, there existed the body art. A solitary butterfly, dark pigment, stretched across the light complexion of her lower arm. For many, it appeared like something mismatched on a service member, delicate, breakable. An adornment that had no place alongside a service uniform and identification tags. In the dining facility, murmurs consistently began when somebody spotted it. She acquired that during vacation, someone would whisper. What's her strategy? Beat her appendages at insurgents? The amusement that came after never appeared to affect her. Emily never clarified, not a single time. She maintained her sleeves turned up sufficiently that the II marking stayed exposed. Whether it represented defiance, self-respect, or something completely different, nobody understood. Yet she never justified it, never shared a narrative, never provided them their desired response. For her military peers, it represented humor. For Emily Parker, it meant something completely different. The initial occurrence during an assembly, Emily convinced herself it held no significance. They stood in the grounds for a standard announcement when a platoon leader noticed her body art. He grinned, then addressed the full assembly. "Notice this," he stated, seizing her forearm and raising it for all to witness. "Private Parker right here believes she's visiting a lepidopterarium." What's this meant to represent, Parker? Your totemic creature? A current of amusement passed through the formation. Emily didn't withdraw her limb. She simply allowed the quiet to remain, vision fixed ahead, mouth clenched. The leader finally released her forearm and continued, yet the effect persisted. For all observers, she became acceptable ridicule. It extended to the vehicle maintenance area. One sweltering afternoon, 2 service members rested against a military vehicle, tobacco products hanging from their mouths, observing her pass by with an administrative board. "I'll wager 20, one spoke, audibly enough for her detection. She couldn't manage loading this transport without damaging a fingernail. The second laughed. "You're accepted. Impossible she even understands where the securing locations are." Emily continued moving. She didn't react, didn't respond verbally. Yet in the reflection of the military vehicle's exterior mirror, her vision intensified for merely an instant before calming once more. She vanished into the storage building, and the amusement trailed her. It intensified in the dining facility. She balanced her meal tray, cautious as usual, when a private passed excessively near. The tray dropped. Steel crashed against the surface. Nourishment spread across the floor tiles. The hall exploded. Some mocked, one applauded mockingly. Excellent execution, Parker. Opposition's going to capitulate immediately without doubt. Emily crouched, gathering the fragments individually. No profanity, no fury, simply controlled movements, measured breathing, and quiet. A medical specialist knelt to assist her, yet she declined. She rejected sympathy. She completed tidying, abandoned her tray, and positioned herself at a distant table, isolated. That transformed into her pattern, isolated during dining, isolated at the equipment station, extended past when colleagues had retreated to their quarters. The illumination in her workspace stayed lit late, her writing instrument moving across documents. When service members walked past, they observed her, bent over correspondence, organized in tidy collections but never sent. Nobody understood her recipient. Nobody inquired. The quiet could have consumed her entirely except for the arriving unit. One afternoon, a transport column entered Camp Hawthorne's dust formations following the entrance of a Navy SEAL group rotating in for combined exercises. Battle-tested men exited the transports, armaments carried, vision evaluating. They observed all details, and when they observed Emily Parker being mocked at the perimeter of the grounds, when they witnessed the way amusement shadowed her like darkness, they didn't join. They simply observed, examined. Something regarding her, something regarding that marking on her lower arm attracted their focus. They didn't speak anything. Not immediately. Yet from that point forward, Emily wasn't merely overlooked. She was under observation. The days merged together at Camp Hawthorne. For many, it represented routine. For Emily Parker, it represented an endurance trial, not of warfare, yet of quiet. Still occasionally, fractures in the presentation she maintained would emerge. Minor details. Understated yet impossible to miss if somebody paid careful focus. The initial indicator surfaced one evening when a private walked beyond the female quarters. Emily's storage container door remained ajar, a solitary photograph attached within. Initially, it appeared normal, a collection of service members positioned side by side in arid terrain, yet the features were obscured, either through particles or intentional blurring. A single element was noticeable, an insignia on a garment, partially hidden, yet recognizable to anyone familiar with elite operations. The private paused, examining, yet before he could investigate further, Emily shut the storage container with reserved finality. The subsequent indicator existed in her body art itself. Beneath the intense flood lighting of the vehicle maintenance area, the butterfly pigment displayed more than wing patterns. Narrow markings penetrated the artwork, scarcely detectable, incorporating numbers into the arrangement. Geographic coordinates, unit numbers, something exact concealed in obvious view. The service members who mocked her never detected it. Yet a visiting SEAL positioned against a military vehicle noticed it one evening. His attention remained. His demeanor shifted. He didn't speak anything. Yet when Emily detected his vision on her limb, she pulled her sleeve lower, without sound. The third arrived in the storage building. A delivery came delayed, containers of armaments fresh from production. Weapons specialists assembled around, removing covers, recording serials. Emily, administrative board in grasp, advanced. She recited the designation, mass, and specification of each firearm before the men finished opening the containers. Parker, one stated, staring, "How in the world do you possess that knowledge?" She simply lifted her shoulders. "It's in the documentation," she answered, though they all recognized the records hadn't been examined yet. These weren't coincidences. They represented pieces of an existence Emily never discussed, concealed underneath the exterior. The men who mocked her perceived only quiet and a butterfly. The ones who examined deeper perceived traces of something different, something considerably more threatening. The examination arrived without notice. Late one afternoon, information circulated that a lieutenant was conducting unexpected visits through the vehicle maintenance area. Service members rushed to create organization from disorder, securing straps, removing lubricant, arranging equipment in exact formations. Emily Parker positioned herself quietly at her station, administrative board at preparation. The lieutenant's attention scanned the space. His vision settled on her. "You," he stated, indicating. "Private Parker. Advance." The space stilled. Emily complied, footwear clicking against the cement surface. The lieutenant retrieved an M4 carbine from a close rack and extended it. "Your logistics, correct? Documentation? Equipment. Let's witness your actual knowledge." A whisper moved through the service members. This wasn't an equitable examination. All recognized Parker was in non-combat specialties, yet Emily didn't waver. She accepted the armament with controlled movements. "Break it down," the lieutenant commanded. Emily examined the armament once, then positioned it on the surface. Without speaking, she reached into her garment and extracted a fabric strip. She secured it around her vision, blindfolding herself. Surprised reactions filled the vehicle maintenance area. Her digits moved with reserved accuracy. Bolt mechanism, firing component, extractor element, fragment by fragment. She arranged the armament in flawless sequence. No excess action, no wavering. The sound of steel against the surface was the sole noise in the space. In under 2 minutes, the M4 rested disassembled bare before her. The weapons specialist, positioned close by, crossed his limbs. "I've witnessed personnel require 5 times that duration," he whispered. Emily removed the blindfold, blinked once, and commenced reconstructing the armament. The concluding sound of the ammunition holder resonated like a strike in the quiet. When she moved the firearm back across the surface, the lieutenant's demeanor was mysterious. From the rear of the space, a tone interrupted the quiet. "How in the world do you possess that knowledge?" Emily didn't grin. She didn't clarify. She simply raised her administrative board once more, as though the display had never occurred. "It's all in the reference guide, Sergeant," she spoke gently. Yet all present in that vehicle maintenance area recognized otherwise. Her secret was breaking through, and nobody could comprehend it. The transport column entered Camp Hawthorne just following sunrise, wheels grinding against the pavement, warmth already ascending from the earth. A Navy SEALed group exited, disciplined, quiet, bearing the burden of missions many would never know. At their head walked their leader, a man experienced by decades of duty. Emily Parker positioned off to the edge, administrative board in grasp, sleeves turned high as usual. She went unnoticed, merely another shape in tan combat dress. She recorded tail identifiers, verified inventory lists, and maintained her focus low. The leader's attention scanned the grounds, intense and searching. And then he stopped. His vision fixed on Emily's limb, the butterfly. He ceased walking. The operators following him stopped too, footwear falling quiet on the burning concrete. The leader advanced gradually, each action intentional, as though he couldn't entirely accept what he was witnessing. Emily glanced up, surprised, yet didn't shift. Her digits tightened around her administrative board. Then, without speaking, the SEAL leader straightened his frame and raised his palm in a precise salute. The atmosphere transformed instantly. Service members close by stopped in position, their meal trays, their instruments, their speech cut short. Quiet expanded across the grounds like a current. A whisper moved through the "Why is he saluting a clerk?" Nobody risked laughing now. The leader's tone carried, subdued, yet solid. "You're still with us, Parker?" She gave the smallest acknowledgement, and just like that, the truth fractured open. Emily Parker was no typical equipment clerk. Years prior, she had functioned as an integrated intelligence officer on a mission so restricted that many records didn't survive. Her designation was never voiced openly. Her body art was never decoration. That butterfly pigment was a symbol recognized only to a limited number of men alive, survivors of an operation where Parker's intelligence had rescued dozens of SEALs from guaranteed death. The symbol had been displayed in quiet by those who had returned, and the leader positioned before her had been among them. He maintained the salute, and for the initial time since she came to Camp Hawthorne, all mocking tones fell quiet. The salute remained in the atmosphere, continuous, a moment extended tight with quiet. Then the SEAL leader reduced his palm and addressed the assembled service members. His tone carried, reliable, yet loaded with recollection. "You believe she's merely a clerk?" he questioned. "You believe that body art was humor?" Nobody responded. Nobody risked. The leader's attention scanned the assembly. Years prior, in a valley many of you will never learn about, we were cornered, outnumbered, trapped, moments from being eliminated. The sole reason I'm positioned here, the sole reason any of us returned home, was her, he indicated to Emily. She remained frozen, caught between modesty and apprehension, her administrative board held tight against her torso. She wasn't in the field with a firearm. She wasn't operating a trigger. Yet the intelligence she provided us, the path she discovered, the encryption she solved, the decision she executed in the darkness, it changed the outcome. My men survived because of her. A stillness fell deeper over the grounds. The service members who had mocked her in the meal line shifted uncomfortably, shame in their vision. The leader stepped back toward Emily. He raised his palm once more, precise, intense, unmistakable. This occasion, the salute wasn't merely his. Individually, the SEAL operators following him complied, then the Army officers, then the enlisted service members who had once laughed at her body art. Footwear snapped together, palms rose to foreheads, the atmosphere electric with respect. Emily's throat constricted. She didn't grin. She didn't fracture. She returned the salute with a reserved steadiness that affected them all the more. For a pulse, battle-tested warriors saluted the woman they had dismissed. The butterfly pigment that had been a target of mockery was now a symbol of sacrifice and survival. It was the type of moment that nobody on that installation would ever forget. When the salute concluded, the ground stayed quiet. Nobody spoke. Nobody shifted, as though interrupting the moment would be a type of disrespect. The SEAL leader reduced his palm. His tone softened. "You've deserved more than quiet, Parker. They should recognize who positions among them." Emily declined gently. Her speech was scarcely above a whisper. "I'm merely performing my duty, sir." And that was the conclusion of it. No elaborate address. No requirement for acknowledgement. Simply the same reserved discipline she had consistently displayed. From that day onward, nobody mocked her. Nobody joked about the butterfly pigment on her limb. The men who had laughed now positioned a little straighter when she walked beyond, their tones quieter, their vision respectful. In time, accounts circulated, whispers of what she had accomplished, pieces of truth transmitted from one service member to another. She never validated them, never adjusted them. She didn't require to. Emily Parker became a reserved legend at Camp Hawthorne, not because she pursued it, yet because respect had finally discovered her. Moral, genuine strength isn't boisterous. Sometimes the quietest warrior bears the deepest wounds and the greatest distinctions. If this account affected you, don't forget to demonstrate your support. If you appreciated this account, please follow for more military and veteran accounts. We deliver you authentic accounts of bravery, sacrifice, and distinction, accounts that remind us of the reserved strength carried by those who serve. Until next occasion, stay safe, stay strong, and never forget the heroes among us.